There was once a young man named Ethan Cole who lived in a quiet mountain town. He didn't have much, just a small room, a few pencils, and a dream that burned brighter than his circumstances. Ethan wanted to become an architect, someone who could turn imagination into buildings that touch the sky. But dreams, as he learned early, are not made in a day. They are built in silence, through years of struggle, and watered with patience. Each morning before sunrise, Ethan would walk to a construction site near his home. He wasn't hired there, he simply stood behind the iron fence and watched. His clothes were dusty, his shoes worn out, yet his eyes were alive. He studied how workers laid bricks, how lines turned into walls and walls into homes. When everyone else went to parties or slept late, Ethan drew sketches on torn notebook pages under a dim bulb. He had no teacher, no fancy tools, just patience and persistence. The people around him laughed. "You can't learn architecture by watching," they said mockingly. Ethan only smiled and whispered, "Maybe not today, but one day these eyes will design something great." Those words became his quiet promise to himself. While others searched for shortcuts, Ethan chose the long, hard road. Years passed like the changing seasons. He worked as a helper on the same sites he once watched from outside. He carried cement, lifted bricks, and endured the heat that burned through his skin. His friends moved on with life, steady jobs, families, comfort, while Ethan still struggled to pay rent. But at night, when everyone slept, he studied design blueprints he found in trash bins, redrawing them to understand every line. Patience became his teacher and failure his classroom. There were nights when hunger knocked louder than hope. He sometimes went to bed with nothing but water. His body grew tired, but his spirit stayed awake. Whenever doubt whispered, "It's useless," he replied softly, "Not today, I won't give up today." Because he knew if he could survive today, tomorrow might change everything. After 7 long years, Ethan faced his hardest moment. His mother, the only person who believed in his dream, fell seriously ill. The doctors demanded money he didn't have. Desperate, Ethan sold everything: his sketches, his tools, even his old notebooks. He stood outside the hospital that night, empty-handed and broken. The stars above blurred in his teary eyes. "Maybe patience is just another word for pain," he murmured. A frail old man sitting nearby heard him and asked gently, "Do you know how bamboo grows, son?" Ethan shook his head. The old man smiled. "For 5 years you water the bamboo seed and nothing happens, not a single leaf. People think it's dead. But in the 6th year it suddenly grows 90 feet tall, because all that time it was growing roots underground." Those words sank deep into Ethan's heart. In that quiet night he understood life had been building his roots, not his walls. His patience wasn't wasted, it was preparing him. That night changed him more than any success could. With renewed energy, Ethan returned to work. He took small projects no one wanted: painting fences, designing garden sheds, repairing cracks in old walls. Every task became a lesson. He began sketching again, this time not for approval but for himself. Months later, one of his simple designs caught the attention of a local builder who admired the detail and emotion behind it. The builder asked, "Did you really make this?" Ethan nodded shyly. "Then design something for me," the man said. "A library for our town." That moment felt unreal. Ethan spent weeks creating the design. He poured his story into every brick and window. When the library was built, it wasn't just a structure, it was a living symbol of his years of struggle. Children read books inside walls that were built with patience, and old people rested on benches that carried his quiet dreams. Ethan didn't just build a library, he built hope. As word spread, invitations began to arrive. Newspapers wrote about the young man who rose from poverty through determination and patience. He was later invited to speak at an international architecture conference. Nervous yet proud, Ethan stood on stage before hundreds of people and began his speech with a story, not his own, but of a leader he deeply admired, Nelson Mandela. Ethan said Mandela spent 27 years in prison. When he was finally free, he didn't seek revenge, he sought peace. That's what patience does, it doesn't harden you, it humbles you. If Mandela could wait 27 years for his dream, I could wait a few for mine. The hall erupted in applause. Ethan smiled, not with pride but with gratitude. He knew applause fades, but patience lasts. From that day forward, Ethan's work reached beyond architecture. He began mentoring young dreamers who were ready to quit. He told them stories about failure, about pain, about how silence can build strength. Many people expected him to talk about success, but he talked about waiting. Don't fight time, he told them. Work with it, let patience polish you. Greatness is not a race, it's a rhythm. One winter morning, Ethan received a letter from a student who had once come to his workshop. The letter said, "I was ready to give up on my dream of becoming a pilot, but I remembered your story and decided to wait one more day. That one day changed everything. I was accepted into flight school." Ethan read that letter dozens of times. Tears welled up in his eyes. He realized his greatest creation wasn't the library or the buildings, it was the lives he inspired. Years later, Ethan stood on the balcony of one of his tallest buildings, watching the sunrise. The golden light touched his face as he whispered, "Patience didn't just change my life, it created it." He closed his eyes and saw his younger self, the boy mixing cement, drawing on scraps of paper, starving yet dreaming. He smiled, knowing that without those painful years, he would never have found the man he became. Ethan often remembered 3 lessons that shaped him. First, that patience is not waiting for the storm to pass, it is learning to dance in the rain. Second, that sometimes life delays your dream not to deny you but to prepare you for it. And third, that every seed grows at its own pace, your time will come when your roots are ready. In his journal, he once wrote, "Patience is silent faith, it's trusting the process even when nothing seems to work. Sometimes the fastest way to success is to go slow. Greatness is not built by speed but by strength that comes from stillness." When he passed away years later, the city honored him not just as an architect but as a symbol of hope. On the wall of the library he had designed, they engraved his words, "Be patient, the roots you cannot see are growing the future you dream of." And long after Ethan was gone, people still walked through that library's doors feeling something they couldn't explain, a quiet peace, a silent strength. Perhaps it was the echo of his journey, reminding everyone that patience doesn't break you, it builds you.